Welcome to the Totally Average Gamers podcast, where we talk about stuff in the gaming world that matters to us. I'm Kyle Liddy.
And I'm Nathan Berkey.
I just like the simple.
Our first topic of the day is the new Overwatch game mode, which
What's
I think
it called?
is Uprising. Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Oh, shut up.
Someone's unprepared.
Stop. I'm not unprepared. I'm very prepared. Highly prepared.
Yeah, so they released it last Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. You're super prepared.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm positive they released it last Wednesday. How's that?
If you're wrong, I get to kick you off of this podcast.
I think, personally, it is what Overwatch has been missing. I'm pretty sure I said in a previous episode they needed a horde mode.
Yeah.
And that was before I even knew about this. I don't know if they released teasers or anything, but it's exactly what Overwatch needed. And I have a feeling if they ever released a story mode for it,
That's what it would be.
that's what it would be. Like little missions like that.
I think it's the best addition they've ever added to Overwatch. Because
yeah.
they had, what did they add? Capture the flag last time.
Which is fun. It was not, I mean, it's a good idea and it's good, but
I know, but it's been done before.
right. This is
actually like a new idea. When they came out with Junkenstein's Revenge, which I know you didn't get to play because it was before that
I
you
played
bought it.
Well, I played it on yours, and so I know what it is.
Yeah, but you didn't get to delve into it.
I mean, it's pretty much the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, but you only got to play as like one character, so this is a better experience than that. It was like, we did Junkenstein's Revenge, and what can we do to expand that? And what I like is it takes bits of the multiplayer, bits of like Junkenstein's Revenge, and it adds more to it. So it's not constantly like you're facing bosses and stuff like that. Like, that was fun, but it seemed like you were at a disadvantage in the harder difficulties because they kept sending those tires and then all the other enemies, and then Mercy would show up and she could revive and heal. And it was kind of just like an annoyance. But this is like they really honed in on like how to make a great game mode. And me and you haven't had a lot of good teams in the harder difficulties, but when we played it like on normal, you could just push on through. The hardest that we've done is just hard. And the teams that we have gotten, they just suck.
Seems like people want to rush forward too far.
Yeah. They're
Like,
always
you have to stay together. You have to stay by your healer. And I think Lucio is the best healer to use.
That's if you do all player, yeah.
I think he's the best healer to use. And you have to stay in Lucio's heal radius. Which, sidebar, I like that they added. I think that was part of this update.
It had to be, because I don't remember it.
But I haven't played Overwatch much lately because of all the other games I have. But obviously, it's one of those games I always keep coming back to. I play at least a couple times a week. But that was a good addition too. But yeah, it seems like people, at least the teams we've played with, just want to rush forward and not stay in the vicinity. So like, and if you break off from the team, you're gonna die, no matter who you are.
Sombra on the one team that we played on, and then Genji when you were the healer. It's like they pick the wrong hero. Because with Sombra and Genji, you're kind of like a push hero.
There are some heroes that you can't use in that game mode. They have to be accurate. And like, I wouldn't recommend Pharah. I mean, maybe someone could be good with her. I wouldn't recommend Pharah or Junkrat, who are excellent characters in regular multiplayer. But I wouldn't recommend them for that game mode just because there's so much going on. You have to be like...
Because you only have like 6 shots with Pharah.
Yeah, like the best characters are Torbjorn.
Yeah.
Bastion. I like Soldier. Reaper's really good because when people die, they drop the souls. So you have to be really close to people. You're constantly getting health. I had one match on hard, and it was like I was running in, killing people, and literally wasn't even losing health because I was just picking up their souls as I killed them. But I think
Sombra was really good too. And at first, I didn't think she would have been a good addition. But when she uses her hack ultimate, she hacked the big bomb guys from moving.
Yeah. Lucio is really good for defending against those two because he can push them back. And so is Orisa because she has that orb she can shoot out and pull them back.
Yeah. I really like the people that they picked for like the actual
Like they're not all heroes.
Yeah. Mercy is a great healer, and she can give you damage boost. Reinhardt,
Reinhardt should be on every team ever.
Yeah, his sole purpose is to just protect people.
Yeah, Reinhardt should be on every Overwatch team, no matter what game mode it is.
And his thrust forward ability, he can push those bomb guys back.
Yeah.
And like we said, the other people could do that, but he does it like the best because he can throw them far. And then Torbjorn is he's fantastic. There have been countless times when me and you were playing as all heroes that I've used him just because all you have to do is put the turret up. He gets his ultimate every minute.
Yeah.
And you just melt through people with that. And, it gives your turret a boost. He's the perfect character for that.
We only get the game mode till May 1st, but I really hope they keep it as a permanent game mode because I feel like it's what Overwatch has been missing, which is a multiplayer aspect where you don't have to play other people. Because I like playing other people, and I'm good at it on Overwatch, but
there's sometimes you want to break from that.
There's sometimes you want something like a story-ish mode where you have missions and stuff. I'd like to see them expand it to other maps and stuff. I think that'd be cool if they did similar stuff on other maps. But I love how the first 3 objectives are hacks. So you basically just have to hold a position. Then you have to move the payload, and then you have to kill basically 4 bosses. It's just a good combination of everything. I mean, it's I've never not had fun in Overwatch. As long as I've played, I probably have almost 100 hours now in it, and I've never, regretted buying it for an instant. But this came at the perfect time. Just a perfect addition, and Blizzard just keeps continuing to blow me away with what they're putting in Overwatch.
And this harkens back to one of our topics, last episode or 2 episodes ago about how they do loot boxes the perfect way.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for DLC. You don't have to buy the loot boxes, but the money they get from the loot boxes is to give us stuff like this for free.
Yeah, it's amazing that the games have been out for 2 years now or a year and a half?
A year and a half.
And
maybe just a year.
Either way, most games are dead after that time, and they're just still releasing stuff that's actually good and has a lot of time and care put into it.
Well, look at Call of Duty. They're dead. Or Infinite Warfare is dead now.
Infinite Warfare was dead on arrival.
Well, yeah, but Overwatch is the only game that I've ever seen in my entire lifetime that has been pretty big from the get-go, but has gained by 4 folds.
Yeah.
In a year. No other game does that.
Yeah. Everything they've done is really good. All the new characters and everything, and I really hope they keep this game mode as a permanent mode. So that ends our topic about the new Overwatch game mode. Stay tuned for our final thoughts on Mass Effect Andromeda. All right, moving on to our next topic, which is we're going to give you our final thoughts on Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, our first episode, we talked about it. We talked about our experience so far. That was, I had about 15 hours in the game. Nathan had about 8. And we had both, given the multiplayer a fair shot. At that point...
It has changed drastically.
Yes. At that point, I was still kind of there were some things I didn't love about it. The mechanics were a little wonky and stuff like that, but I still enjoyed it. I liked the premise. I liked the abilities. I liked the idea of the multiplayer. The campaign was fun, but they released the first patch, and when they announced it, I was like, okay, that's kind of why I was keeping my hopes up. I didn't have a negative outlook, even though there were things that I didn't like from the beginning. So I was keeping my hopes up, thinking, okay, there's going to be a patch, and it's going to fix everything. So the first patch came out, and nothing I cared about got fixed.
They did facial.
And I mean it when I say this. The multiplayer, the mechanics, the movement in that game is the worst I've ever seen.
It was so funny because you were sitting there telling me, just play it one more time. And I was like, you know what? Just for you, I will. I'll give it one more chance because I didn't like it at all. And we went into a match. The first game we had 4 people. They jumped in right after we started it. and it was fun. I was enjoying it. I picked a different character, but I was telling you the whole time, the mechanics are awful. Because I chose, who's the big guy?
Like Krogan.
Yeah, I was a Krogan. And I was like, he's too big for the screen.
That's one thing I always hated from the beginning was that you can't zoom out. I don't want to be that zoomed in on my character. I don't want to be looking over his shoulder. I want it to be like...
See, it's different in like The Last of Us because they do it well.
Yeah.
In this game, it's like if you choose a human, you're fine because he only takes up like a 16th of the screen, but you choose a Krogan, he's legit like a third of the screen and you can't see shit and he's slow.
There are so many things about the mechanics I don't like. And one of the major things that always seem to get me killed, and maybe I'm just bad, but you don't grab ledges you want to grab, and you grab ledges you don't want to grab. I can't see how many times I've like tried to jump up somewhere and my person just like would just like
hits their ankles on it,
hits their ankles on the wall and then just slides down. And you can't escape. And I'm like you're getting shot and you're trying to get up to a high ground to hide, and you just slide down and die. And
I fell off the map so many times that last game me and you played. And it's not even like I was bad. It's because I died in a weird way to where I fell off the map because I was fighting an enemy and I was like on the edge and I fell because I was just too busy trying to fight him. And it kept spawning me on the edge to where if I didn't jump at the perfect time, my guy would just keep falling off the edge. He would just slip off.
Yeah. One thing that started to piss me off and this happened after we made the first episode, started to piss both of us off was the fact, the issues with the multiplayer. Where, and I know it wasn't happening I don't think it was happening for everybody because I was checking Twitter to see if people were saying stuff about it, and no one was. Not a lot of people, but I did end up seeing a few people who were having issues where they would create a match and no one would join.
Ever.
At all. So then when I read the patch notes for the patch, obviously I don't know why I had to reiterate that. When I read the patch notes, it was like, fixes latency and matchmaking and multiplayer. I was like, okay, perfect.
Yep.
That's one annoying thing checked off. So the patch downloaded and it didn't fix it.
No, because there was a game that me and you played, just two people. So either no one is playing it now, or it still sucks ass.
You legit have to, and it's just one of those things like the ledge grabbing thing that's just annoying, but it's just annoying enough that it makes me not want to play.
See, because the thing
you
is
have to start a match and then people have to join, which is, it's okay if they join like halfway through the first round, but it's still just annoying. Like, why do I have to do that? I mean, how long have video games been having online multiplayer? Since Halo 2? Even before, that's the first game I played. So even before that, and you still can't figure out how to do matchmaking? Here's my opinion on Mass Effect. They need to, because it's a great premise, great characters, great ideas, great abilities, weapons, visuals, everything. BioWare needs to either fire every person who made Mass Effect Andromeda and remake it, remaster it, or something.
I think they need to sell the IP.
That's what I was about to say. They either need to do that and hire back all the people who made the first 3 games, or sell every bit of the idea to a good developer like
Naughty
Dog or Bungie, Activision, someone who's
Activision would do great with it.
Yeah.
Because the one thing I give Activision all the time is their controls. And I told you, I said, there should not be a first-person shooter today that does not copy the feel of Call of Duty.
There shouldn't be any shooter that doesn't copy the feel of Call of Duty. As much as Call of Duty pisses me off and raises my blood pressure and almost gives me an aneurysm every time I play it, one thing, it feels great all the time.
And it's 60 frames per second consistently.
Yeah. So Mass Effect or BioWare needs to completely revamp their team. They need to change something. Sell it to Blizzard. Because I'm sure they could get, millions of dollars for the idea.
Oh, it'd be billions.
Yeah. And just give it to someone who can do it right, because it's such a good idea. So many good ideas, such a good premise, and they just, so far they've butchered it. And to sort of wrap this up, there was that night we played that I basically coaxed you into trying it again after you told me over and over it was bad. Well, like I said, I was trying to give it a chance.
Well, you spent $60 on it.
I spent $60 on it. I gave up on, pursuing getting a Switch. I gave up on getting Horizon Zero Dawn because I was so excited for Mass Effect. And since then, I've gotten a Switch, Zelda, and Horizon Zero Dawn. But we'll get to that in a minute. I gave up on all those things, spent $60 on this game, which $60 is the normal price for a game, so it's not like I paid extra. But, when you spend $60 on something, you want to give it a shot. So I was like, and the things that were wrong with it didn't really bother me that much. And I figured, I'll keep a positive mindset, keep pushing through. So when they do upload a patch, I'll have good progress, and then it'll be good. And it just like the first patch, nothing I cared about got fixed. It's like, literally, I watched a YouTube video, and people's minds were blown. They were like, here's what their eyes looked like before the patch. Here's what they looked like after. I don't care about that. Why do people care about that?
They should worry about the stuff you can actually play.
Yeah, like his eyes have more depth now. Okay.
What does that mean?
Literally,
more
it's
depth?
Literally, it's like in the first one, before the patch, it looked like their eyes were just like
they weren't
like 3D. And then the new one, it was like they made their like corneas more like colorful. I was like, why? But I still can't grab the ledge I want to grab, and matchmaking still doesn't work.
Yeah.
So why did you release this? That's irrelevant.
I have one thing.
Make them have no eyes.
Yeah.
As long as I can play the fucking game.
I have one thing that pisses me off the most. The controls have always been wonky since the very first one, but it didn't matter because it wasn't trying to be such an action-packed game.
Well, here's my question is, it's a third-person, shooter.
Yeah.
Why is Gears of War so not clunky, but Mass Effect is so clunky?
Because Gears of War was meant to be an action game. Mass Effect in the very beginning was like, it was story-driven with a little bit of shooting. Then Mass Effect 2 got a little bit more action-packed. 3 got a little bit even more, but 3 felt better than this one does. It seems like this one, they're like, all right, we're going to use the same wonky-ass controls that we had for the first 3 games. We're going to make them worse and make it even more action-packed without fixing anything. So that's the problem, is they didn't work on the controls at all. They took the controls of the old games, put it in a new game, and made things harder. They added way more combat, which I like because the combat aspect of the game it's phenomenal. Like all the stuff you can do. But when it's like, if I told you can get $1 million, but all you have to do is throw a feather 100 feet. That's what this game feels like. And you're just like, I know I really want that $1 million because that's what this game is like. It's $1 million idea, but trying to throw a feather 100 feet is like, it's playing the game. You constantly are just getting pissed off because you can't do what you want to do because the controls are so they're garbage.
Yeah. So to sort of wrap up this segment, bottom line is
don't buy it.
Don't buy it. But that's the bottom line. But to wrap up the story, I coaxed Nathan into trying it for one more night, trying the multiplayer. We played it. While we were playing the last match, I was like, as soon as this match I'm using all my revives, all my health boosts, all my ammo, because I think the rest of our team went down.
It was impossible.
I was like, I'm using everything because I don't care. As soon as this match is over, I'm removing the disc, deleting the game, and trading it in tomorrow.
and we both traded it in.
Both traded it in. I traded that in. Mario Kart 7 because I'm getting Mario Kart 8 on April 28th. And then a couple of Wii games that I had that were randomly valuable that I don't play anymore. And I got Horizon Zero Dawn and the BioShock collection. So so we'll get to Horizon Zero Dawn here in a bit, but that was the best decision I ever made. So
yeah, I traded in to get FIFA.
Yeah. I would trade it in to get I don't even know.
Mario
if they told me
the circus games for the Wii.
if I would have walked into GameStop and they're like, "Oh, we're not paying people for this anymore," I'd be like, "Just take it because I don't want to look at it anymore." I literally can't even. I couldn't even sit there and look at the case knowing I'd spent $60 on a game that they can't even figure out matchmaking. I just keep going back to a game that was when was Halo 2 made? 2003.
Yeah, it had better.
It had better matchmaking than Mass Effect. How? I just wanted. I wish we were popular enough that we could call their developer or call the people who made that game and have them come sit here, and we could just be like, how?
How did this get made?
How does Mass Effect matchmaking not work? Why can I not grab a ledge? Why does it feel like I have bricks on my feet?
This, if I had to give the game a rating, which from our podcast, you will never hear a number rating really from us.
Well, the first one we both gave it an 8. I would give it a -8.
See, it's because we were in the good part of the game.
Well, I still had like I said, I still had a positive mindset. I was thinking about all the things I liked about it, thinking like, okay, when the first patch comes out, all this stuff will get fixed.
That's why people tell you to never give an opinion of a game in the first 10 hours, because you have this like doe-eyed opinion of it.
Yeah. It can do no wrong, basically. But it also goes back to another topic we've talked about before, where games aren't complete when they come out. Why did they have to release a patch to fix stuff that
a month later?
To fix stuff that should have been in the regular game. I mean, I know I'm not a game developer, so it's easy for me to sit back and say, but, you know, I'm a chemist. So that'd be like if you wanted me to do chemistry and I was like, well, you know, I'm going to do some of it, but then when I give it to you, I'll do the rest of it. Like,
yeah, in like a month.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm going to give you part of it, and then you do what you can with that, and then in a month I'll come back and finish it for you. But give me all the money up front. Like, why can't you just finish the game and make it right when it comes out? I mean, they did again. It goes back to Super Nintendo games were finished when they came out. N64 games were finished.
The good ones were. Like, third party wasn't really.
Well, you know what I mean, though.
Yeah. But Nintendo has always had a good.
N64, PlayStation 2 games were finished when they came out. Why is it today they have to release updates for this stuff? And the updates don't even fix stuff. It makes me so mad. I wish we could just have the person, the director or the whatever they're called, the development director, just sit here and be like, why? Yeah, like, how would I just want to ask him, how would you feel if you went to H&R Block and said, here, do my taxes? Like, okay, I'm going to do your taxes, and they're going to be almost complete, for April 15th, but then I'll come back and finish them on April 20th.
Yeah, and then you get
like after you're already fucked. It's like, okay, thanks, BioWare.
See, the problem is games that are single player based. They shoehorn in multiplayer, which takes part of a team away, and then they are shoehorned into making this, really quick thing. And that's what happened is for Mass Effect 3. But Mass Effect 3 was a good game. But on this game, they're like, well, we'll just add that in. It's a copy and paste. But what they did was they took time and money away from the single player, which there should not have been a multiplayer. Or if you were going to have a multiplayer, then you get a legit team in there. And then you have a legit team for single player. You don't take bits and pieces out and, oh, go do this and go do that. That's not how you make good games. That's how you make mediocre games, which this game, I wouldn't even rent it.
No.
I wouldn't spend any money on it because I was so, and you know this because you called me out on it, I was so fed up with that game, I didn't even want to play single player.
That's how I got to, because the one boss fight I got to, and I know the wonkiness, which I know that's not a word, but we keep calling it wonky. So the wonkiness didn't really translate to single player as bad as it was in multiplayer. But there were a couple, like there was one boss fight where it was just
How far were you in?
Probably 12 hours.
Okay.
It was just so bad. Like, I can't even describe it to you. Like, I was supposed to I got to this area and this battle scene started, and I was supposed to let one race, an alien race, I forget what they're called.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Fight the robot race. And then I could come in and clean it up. And they just wouldn't do it. It just kept reloading and reloading and reloading. And I was like, why is it doing that? And I just got so pissed off with that. I was just like, I knew in my mind, after this, I'm not playing the single player anymore. Because I was just so fed up, And it's one of those things where if a game does stuff that's annoying enough, it makes me not want to play it anymore.
I think that's the first time I've ever experienced a game that bad.
Yeah. All right, well, that does it for our thoughts on Mass Effect Andromeda. Stay tuned for what we think about Zelda Breath of the Wild.
All right, so on the last podcast, I talked about Zelda Breath of the Wild on the Nintendo Switch and how much I enjoyed it. And you gave your thoughts on it from what you played on my Switch. But since then, you have found yourself a Nintendo Switch and you got a copy of Breath of the Wild. And you've been playing it for maybe like 5 hours, would you say?
More than that.
More than that?
10, yeah.
Okay. So you got a good idea of what it is so far. Now, I know we've been talking back and forth about it. And you've been texting me saying certain things piss you off, which we've been agreeing on. But I kind of just wanted to get like your thoughts so far on it.
So the first part of the game, when you're in the first, they make the first area sort of feel like a tutorial.
Yeah.
You have to before you get the paraglider to get out of the first area with the four main shrines where you get your abilities and all that stuff. That part was really easy for me because I knew what to do because I played some of it on yours and I watched you play most of it.
Yeah.
So I knew how to make the stir fry thing you have to make to get the warm doublet to go to the fourth shrine and all that stuff. So that was a breeze. Got the paraglider. I did the whole first area, all 4 shrines, got the paraglider, all that in my first time sitting down to play it. I think it maybe took me like an hour just because I knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
I knew exactly where to go to find wild boars, to find the Hyrule bass that you need to make.
Hyrule bass.
Yeah. Find the Hyrule bass and the hot peppers you need to make the stir fry. So that was a breeze. But then once I got out of the first area, I quickly realized that it was not a tutorial anymore.
Very punishing.
Yeah. Very punishing, very unforgiving. So I think that it was the way I was going about it was wrong.
Well, it's because every game before it teaches you a different way to play a game. This one, you have to learn how to play it.
Yeah. So I was just like thinking, because the first 4 shrines were so easy, they were just like puzzles. I was going to shrines without arrows, without any of the stuff I needed. So I just was feeling like it was impossible. But now that I know, you have to go prepared. You have to have arrows to fight enemies that are going to be in there and everything. I won't say it hasn't been a breeze. It's still been challenging. But I feel like I've crossed that threshold to where I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Like, I know how to fight the enemies. I finally started getting good weapons. Because there for a while I just felt helpless. And I was texting you yesterday about how pissed off I was. But
I was trying to coach you through it. I was trying to give you positive thoughts.
I just kept pushing through, and then eventually I broke through to where now I'm, I've got new armor, I've got a bunch of good weapons. I finally figured out. It's just one of those. I can't describe it. It's like one of those things. Like I was having up until that point, I was having so much trouble finding shrines, getting to shrines. Once I got in the shrine, I could do what was needed. But so now I've just completely not really changed how I play the game, but I'm just like taking my time more.
See, and that's what I was telling you is because when you were texting me, you were almost sounding like you kind of wanted it to be like, go here, do this, go here, go do that. And what I was telling you is you almost have to just open your mind.
Yeah.
You almost have to just go in and be like, I'm not trying to accomplish anything. And when you finally get in that mind, like when you finally get into that rhythm of not having a goal set, it's one of those games to where you can just get lost in, because if you're not constantly looking for shrines and if you're not constantly trying to get armor or whatever, it is one of the best games out there because you randomly find shrines. And that's how I've been. What I did was I went and looked for towers. That was my mission. I'm going to get all the towers. So now when I was getting the towers, I'd look across the land and be like, oh, okay, I see a shrine here, I see a shrine here, I see a shrine here. So I would just point them out on my map, and then I would get all the ones that are visible. And now I'm at the point to where I'm trying to find the hidden ones. And I feel like you just hit that mark where you're not going for the same thing I'm going for, but you have a different way of looking on how you want to accomplish things. But it's like one of those things, once you get in that mindset, it's a great game. But when I was in your shoes before that, I was like, what the hell is going on here? Why am I getting whooped by every enemy I face?
I think what helped me cross over into that mindset was I was thinking, for some reason, the only way I'm accomplishing anything is if I complete shrines. So I was just sprinting around the map, basically, getting around the map as fast as I possibly could, trying to find shrines. But then I realized I was like blowing past stuff that also gave you a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Like towers and like little batches of enemies, like the bokoblins or whatever, that you can fight and they're easy to fight, and then you get like weapons and food and stuff, and there's like going through the forests and killing animals and getting meat.
Yeah,
and
that's
all
my
that
main
stuff.
thing now is I love hunting.
Yeah, so it's like, for some reason I was in this mindset of like, okay, I have to complete all these shrines, when really that's, I've been doing other things now that have been giving me that sense of accomplishment. Because like when I was texting you yesterday, I was telling you like, I feel like I've played for 3 hours and haven't accomplished anything. And it's because I was just like sprinting across the map as fast as I possibly could trying to find the next shrine. And when I couldn't find one, I was just getting pissed off. I was like, what am I doing? Like, I've been playing for hours and haven't found anything. But now I know that like finding arrows and finding food and, finding like armor upgrades and things like that, finding the little hidden treasure chests are accomplishing something, because that gets you prepared. So like I started doing that, and now I have all these good weapons, and now it's much easier for me to find shrines and stuff. Because my whole problem was I was basically just sprinting across the map with nothing, and then I would run into a batch of enemies, and all I would have was like one arrow and a club that had 2 damage or 4 damage, and I would get killed every time. Yeah. But then when I started taking my time and actually stopping at every little place, it made it much more enjoyable.
Well, and last night you had just figured out that you can sell stuff, and that's how you make money. And that's the thing is like, when I wouldn't call it mining, but when you find those rocks you can break open and they have like sapphire or whatever.
I found like diamond.
Yeah. So that's like your main source of income is doing that. I mean, you can sell like enemy parts and stuff like that, but you don't get much. But
so that's another thing that gives me a sense of accomplishment, is finding that stuff and then going and selling it.
Yeah.
And getting like 1,000 rupees. And I'm like, no, now I can basically do, like, that's how I bought my new outfit and everything. And you could get stocked up on arrows and all that stuff. So I definitely...
Have you seen bomb arrows yet?
So I really enjoyed it at the beginning. I had my down point when I was like, had no idea what I was supposed to do next. And now that I've figured out, kind of like backed off and focused in on, what the point of the game is. And the point of the game isn't to accomplish everything as fast as you possibly can. It's to just accomplish everything. Now I'm really enjoying it, and I've sort of, crossed that threshold. Because I've never been really into a game where it doesn't tell you where to go, doesn't tell you what to do. But I definitely am now with this game. Because I feel like if you take your time and really explore and find everything, it's almost like now it's easier for me to find shrines.
Yeah, when you're not looking for them.
Yeah. And I like figured out, it's just such a weird thing. Like, there just is a breaking point where it's like, now all of a sudden I know what to do. So like I go to a shrine that I didn't know how to, remember I was telling you that one surrounded by spikes?
Yeah.
I had no idea what to do. Well, I went there today and I knew instantly what to do. You just have to shoot the spikes with a fire arrow and it burns them all.
Yeah.
I just knew what to do instantly. It's like there's like a breaking point when all of a sudden now
everything makes sense.
You know what to do at each point. And it's because at any given point, anything is like, there are like 100 different ways to do everything. So like I was like, I think one thing that was making me miserable was like I was looking for one way to do stuff. I was like, so I would get to a shrine and I'd be like, there's got to be like something that'll launch me onto there, launch me past those spikes. But then when I started thinking in the mindset of like, okay, if this was actually me and I walked up to something like this, what would I do? Yeah. I would catch it on fire. So I try that and it works. And it's like, okay, well, now it's like, it's still challenging, but it's almost like simple now. Once you cross that and you just start thinking in that mindset, and now it makes sense and it's a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, I just watched an interview not too long ago from the creators of Zelda and like the developing team, and what they did was, and I don't know why every other developer doesn't do this. Every time they had a group of people come in and test the game, they would track their movement, where they went on the map. And what they did was a lot of the shrines and other like secret hidden things and treasures and stuff, they would put on the parts of the map that people didn't go to. So that way, like, okay, so they said everybody went this one path. Okay, well, there's this huge mountain that everyone walked across or didn't go across. No one touched it. They didn't even try it. So we're going to put a shrine on top. And it's just so cool that they did that, because if you have like a completionist mindset, which I don't, but for this game I do, I want to do all the shrines. I want to find them all. And it's one of those things where I did all the ones I could visibly see. Now I'm going across the parts of the map. So like when I turn my game on, I look at the map and I'm like, okay, what parts of the map don't have anything on it? Like I don't have any shrines on it or anything. So I did that today and I found 3 shrines. And it's just one of those things where it's so cool that there's a world that has something to do every so often. And Skyrim does that and whatever, but this is a handheld game. And that's the reason why it's so impressive.
It's amazing just playing the game. It's amazing how much thought went into every little aspect. I mean, it's mind-blowing. Just like doing the shrines, just like the intricacy of the stuff and like the puzzles and everything. Which normally I'm not like a big puzzle person, but
these are cool puzzles.
Yeah.
It's not like putting something together. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. It's like actually fun. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Zelda. So stay tuned for our next topic, which is Horizon Zero Dawn. All right, so moving on to our final topic, which is Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a game I've picked up. Nathan hasn't had a chance to play yet, but if you recall from our previous episode, one of our previous episodes, we both mentioned that this is a game we both passed up on, not because we didn't think it looked cool or didn't find it interesting, just because we decided to get Mass Effect instead, which is obviously a huge mistake, which we just talked about. But so when I decided I was trading in Mass Effect, I was like, well, I'm definitely getting Horizon Zero Dawn. So I traded it in and picked it up, and it was the best decision I ever made. So far, it's easily my game of the year. I like it better than Zelda, just personally. I like it. I think it's a little more enjoyable for me because it's a little more linear. I always feel like I know what I'm supposed to be doing. But there's still an exploration aspect. Like, it's still completely open world. You can go do whatever you want, but there's always like there's a story, a real story. You feel like something's driving you to go do these things. And just, I think what really seals the deal for me that it's such an amazing game is the feeling it gives of, it's like it feels like it's in an older setting, but almost like The Witcher kind of, but at the same time you're fighting futuristic, machine animals. You have futuristic weapons, but everything still kind of feels old. It's just a really very interesting and creative spin on like open world RPG gameplay. Very creative game. I think it's made by the same people who made Killzone.
Yeah.
But I love it so far. I love the whole robotic animal thing, and there's a bunch of different species, and there's a whole like research aspect to it, where not research, but like a whole exploration aspect to it, where you find animals you haven't found before, find plants and all that stuff you haven't found before. There's a crafting system which is intricate but not complicated. There's a lot of things you can make, but as far as crafting the stuff that's essential, like ammo, health potions, things like that, it's all pretty straightforward. so you never really feel like you're lost. You don't have to like Google what to do and things like that. So that's what I really like about it. I've thoroughly enjoyed. I think I'm probably about 10 or 15 hours in at this point. I'm hooked on the story, which I don't want to give any spoilers or anything, but those who have played it know the story's really good. There's sort of like a mysterious aspect to it, like you're trying to solve the mystery of the main character Aloy, sort of like her past and how it's going to play out currently, how her past is going to come back to haunt her, I guess. It's not really her past, like decisions she's made, but sort of like how her upbringing is going to come back to haunt her or haunt the civilization, things like that. So, and I like how you don't just fight robotic robotic animals and things like that. You also fight humans at some portions too. There's sort of like a villain tribe, if you want to call it that. So overall, I love the game so far. I would definitely recommend getting it over any game I've played recently, especially Mass Effect.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. As of right now, it's my game of the year. Granted, I think that may change when other games come out. And I know it's early in the year, but I've just loved everything I've played of it so far.
Yeah, from what I've seen you play, which is very little, the one thing that I like about games is controls.
Yeah.
And that game seemed fluid. I got to see you do some things with different creatures. And the ideas that these guys had when making the game, it almost kind of just makes you sit there and think about their creativity, because Killzone was a good series, but it was never great.
Mm-hmm.
It was never one of those things where you're like, oh man, did you pick it up? It's so awesome. And I think it's because they were like stuck in a contract with Sony, like, because Sony was like, we need a Halo. Oh, Killzone's like our Halo. It was never good.
Yeah.
And now that they have the capability of opening up their wings, I mean, if it's so crazy to think of the studio's potential if they don't have stuff pushing down on them. And that's why I think Sony is winning the console war, is because Sony's not telling its developers. I mean, they may be, but from what I can see, they're not telling their developers, you need to make this specific game.
Yeah, you need to they're not telling them like, you're good at making shooters, so you need to make a shooter that's going to be like our version of Gears of War, or something that's going to compete with Halo or something like that. I guess maybe Titanfall coming to PS4 is sort of like them trying to, double dip. But yeah, I agree. I think when they give the developers, you see here with Horizon Zero Dawn, when you give a developer who's maybe just been making first-person shooters like true creative control, and you let the people that have good ideas run with it, you get a truly amazing product.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most creative games I've seen in a very long time, because like last year, my kind of hidden gem game of the year was a Dying Light, but that was basically an idea that has been mined to death. Yeah. Zombies, and you can craft weapons, and you can do that, and I'm like, okay, that's cool, but Dead Island had that. Right. Yeah, this does it better, but and the thing is with Horizon Zero Dawn, it takes the best out of a lot of games and it increases it to an extent to where when it takes an idea and uses it but makes it better, and makes it feel original. And that's the best type of like game there is, when it can make you think that it's an original idea.
Yeah.
And the story aspect of it is original, but like the crafting and stuff, you're like, oh, that's cool. I like how they did that. Many other games do crafting, but when they do it right in a game that's as good as Horizon is, that's what makes it special.
Yeah.
It's just a very special game.
Yeah, I've definitely loved it so far. So that wraps up our thoughts for Horizon Zero Dawn. All right, thanks for listening to this episode of Totally Average Gamers Podcast, where we talk about stuff in the gaming world that matters to us. I'm Kyle Liddy.
I'm Nathan Berkey.
Tune in once a week for our podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at TotallyAVGPod. Look us up on YouTube, Totally Average Gamers. And we recently created a Patreon, Totally Average Gamers. So obviously you don't have. We're not expecting people to pay, but go ahead and check us out. We'll also be posting on SoundCloud, iTunes, all that stuff. So.
Yeah, and if you want to get a hold of us easier, you can email us at totallyaveragegamers@gmail.com, and we can conversate that way. Or if you have any ideas for something you want us to talk about, you can send us some stuff.
Thanks.
I just like the simple.